dreaming of floating or flying away from danger or trouble. Hi everyone, it's Maria Momela. Thank you for joining me. Um, I have a dream that I love to share, but before I get into the dream, I still want to base this dream interpretation also on Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. This is a scripture that speaks about let me just read it, y'all. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagle. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So now I want to focus on 31 on what? On 31b. They will soar on wings like eagle. Um, it is based on this verse that I press that it should not be much of a concern that you may feel you are in control of floating or flying. Because if it is the Father that is carrying you in his wings, then you are under his protection, okay, and under his leading. It's a positive dream. And even if you were in control of flying, but you were escaping trouble, it's still a positive dream. All right. Now, I'd like to speak about flying over mountains or volcanoes. Now, this dream is pretty much uh, self-explanatory. If you're flying over mountains, the Bible speaks of a problem being a mountain or a challenge being a mountain, or even some strongholds can be seen as a mountain. Okay, now you're flying over that mountain or flying over that wall. Or I should actually liken the strongholds to the walls, okay, like the walls of Jericho. If you're flying over them, if you're flying over volcanoes, just flying over danger, okay, it's just flying over trouble. It's a good dream. And if you're flying over monsters or demons or aliens, they are all the same thing. It's one and the same thing, okay? And if you're flying over them, that also speaks about you overcoming. So when we see demons or enemies or people attack us in a dream, it's not necessarily a bad dream if we are overcoming them. All right. So it speaks of escaping enemies or spiritual forces by you flying over the mountains. Okay. Even flying over rivers, because there are many people who have had a dream where they had to cross river. If you've had a dream where you had to cross a river, you know how difficult that dream was. So how much, like, that's a great relief to just fly over it. All right. Let me get to the dream. I dreamt I was on top of a building. How did I get on top of the building? I have no idea. The only thing I know is that I was on top of a building. And then I immediately felt a sense of danger. Like, I just immediately felt a sense of danger. And I saw people that looked like me. But there was something similar about them. I think they were dressed in black overall suits that I could liken to the ones they wear in space. And they were all dressed in black. Okay, but I do not remember. I could see their faces, but in waking life I do not remember their faces at all, or even the color of their skins. I just do not remember. All I know is that they were coming against me. Okay, and they were both males and females. Now, as I was on top of the building, I saw these people starting to get closer, and as they came closer, they started to form a semicircle. They started to spread out to form a semicircle around me, and I was, or a half a moon around me, and I was starting to panic a little bit. And I realized that these people are certain, like they found me. But in my heart, there was that thing that, like, this is not the end. Like, they are so sure that they got me. Like, there is more to me than this. There is more to me than this. I then ran to the edge of the building and I looked down, and I like, this was a very tall building. I could hardly see well. The streets were even blurry and the cars were very small. Okay. And perhaps the reason is like that is because I wear glasses, okay? I don't see long distance, but I feel like the dream, like in looking down, I understood like jumping down was not the option. It's like that option was being ruled out. That's how I felt in the dream. I understood that fact that jumping down is not it's not it's blurry, it's not certain, it's not stable, it's not solid. I cannot go by that idea. I looked on across from me, there was another building. But then I'm like, how on earth am I going to jump from this building to the next building? And I looked and I saw that these people were coming. So what I did was that I began to walk closer to them. But halfway to them, I then turned back and I ran. And as I ran, I started to believe in my heart that I could jump from this building to the next. And then I jumped to the building. I jumped to the next building and then I landed safely to my great amazement. And these people were surprised. And then I was like, I was impressed. And I thought to myself, well, that should teach them a lesson. But then these people, they followed suit. I saw them just jumping from the building, following me with the greatest of ease. And I'm like, what on earth is happening? And then I jumped onto the next building, and of course, they were following me. And I looked around. All the other buildings that were before me were taller than the one I had jumped on previously. So I was like jumping from a high mountain, from a high building to a smaller building. That's how I've been jumping. But now these ones were taller buildings. And instead, all this time I had been running and jumping from building to building. But now it seemed like I had come to the end. I was just I was afraid and I didn't know what to do. And then they jumped to the building where I was at, and I could see how pleased they were. Like immediately they land on the same building as me. They never rushed or ran to me. They just started to walk slow. It's like whatever they wanted to do, they wanted to torture me slowly. Like they just wanted to deal with me well and teach me a lesson. I remember looking at them and I'm like, I've got no choice. And I'm like, I have to float. I have to somehow float in the air. No, for me to jump from one building to the other, I had to float. So I floated there. So I knew that this time I had to fly, literally fly, shoot myself up. I believed in my heart. Now to jump, I had to go back and then run to another building. So now I had to do something that even my mind found it hard to fathom, but like I believed that I could still make it. Like my life was in danger. The fear and the fear was not paralyzing, but I understood that my life is in danger. So it's like I was thinking on my feet, okay? And then I put my hands on the side of my thighs and then I just shot up. I literally just shot up into the sky. I'm facing the building that I wanted to land on. And as soon as I got on top of it, that's when I lowered myself gently and I stood. And even as I landed slowly on the tall building, I could see their faces, or I could see a vision of their faces, like they were in shock, like how is this possible? And then that's when they came for me, and then I saw the other building, and then I shot up again, and then I shot up again to the third building, and then they just kept coming after me. But now I could see their anger and I could see their violence. Like they were getting violent now. They were no longer getting onto a building and walking. Now they were running. Now they were attacking. Like I could see, like, okay, now these things have just gotten serious. So now I was at this other building. Oh, and then they were smart. What they did was then they began to split up so that I had no other buildings to jump into. So I was like surrounded. And they were not walking slow, like the ones that were on the same building with me. They were coming. They were like coming to like rip me to pieces. The image I had was just the paws of a wolf, like rip me to pieces, rip my gut out. That's the image that I got. It was then that I knew that the only way to get out of the situation is just to fly. And then I literally just shot up and I kept flying and I stretched my hands like an eagle or like a bird, and then I began to fly. And I decided before, actually I shot up and I kept going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. But because these people, like I've thought they would have given up by now. So I actually flew like very, very high. And as soon as I was high, I could see them. I could see those tall buildings being small. And I saw them stuck looking at me. And I saw them attempt to fly, but they couldn't reach me. It was then that I stretched out my hand and I began to hover over them. And they couldn't touch me. And I did that for a while. And then I flew away. Okay, I flew away. And anyone who's had a flying or floating dream, you'd understand that part. That when you're comfortable and when you're at ease, you want to play. It's a very beautiful dream. It's to fly. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. You know, it's just that it's a different feeling. There's nothing like it. You know, there's nothing like it. So yeah, I just flew away. So not every dream that is demonic or that has demons in it is like necessarily a bad dream. It could just mean the Lord is saying you are going to overcome or you are overcoming. Because another thing, we have this habit of getting a dream and thinking that that dream is for the present moment, and we forget that a lot of dreams have to do with the future. And the Lord is letting us know that you are going to face a challenge, but no, you're going to rise well above it. Yes, there are enemies, there are people waiting for you, but I will help you. I will help you. Okay, if perhaps in your dream you were lifted up, it was the Lord that was lifting you up, or the angels were there to lift you up lest you dash your foot against a stone. So they were there to lift you up and they carried you to safety. So it is a positive dream either way. It is a positive dream either way. So I hope that this dream answered the questions that I did not answer in the first video. So thank you guys. God bless.